Hey guys, Ryan with Premier. So often I see in the message rooms we get guys who they want to know, do I leave my full-time job and chase the seal coating thing, or do I stick with my full-time job? At what point did you guys decide to walk away from your jobs? I don't know. I don't know. When did you walk away? When did you walk away? If you're starting, or if you operate your own business that you started while working a full-time job, drop a comment and let me know when you decided it was time for you to take the jump. Okay. I'm just going to give you my background and how my decision came. I was about 25, 26 years old, having kids, needed to make some extra money on the side. My wife, was out on maternity leave. We had a surprise pregnancy while she was on maternity leave. And all of a sudden it became, well, it's going to get awful expensive to put these kids in daycare. So she's going to stay home and raise them, and I am going to make money for the both of us. And at the time, I was working for the FW Web Company, driving a trailer truck, delivering pipe to the other FW Web stores. And I said to my wife, when I was a kid, I moved out to Michigan to live with some relatives for a while, and I learned how to seal coat. My uncle Bob Ward, who owns DOW Asphalt out in Grand Blanc, decided that he was going to take me to work with him a couple times when his sealer guys decided they didn't want to show up. And that's how I learned how to do it, I realized, hey, if I can find a place to buy this material, then I can get this little side hustle going. And that's what I did. And I want to say, geez, I was 2004, I was 25 or so. And I just kept doing that, for, Jesus, almost a decade. I juggled both of them. In the spring, I would get up early enough to go get my run done, and get back for as much daylight as I possibly could have. I mean, there were days where I was just going to do my run, coming back. I'd only work 4 hours and I'd be gone. My boss would joke around and tell me, you better be careful, you're going to lose your benefits, they're going to think you're only part-time, But I was going, doing my run, getting back. You guys need help? Nope. Okay, I'm out of here. And I was out hustling, doing driveways. I was striping parking lots before I came into work. This is what I did. And pretty much for the first decade, I was a one-man show. But each year, things got a little better. The work got a little better. Here's the thing. When you start a seal coating company, everybody's going to support you, right? Your mom's going to support you. Uncle Larry's going to call. Uncle Larry's going to say, yep, do my driveway. Even if Uncle Larry's driveway doesn't need to have it done, you're going to do it. Because these people want to support you, all right? They're proud that you're taking an initiative, and they want you to succeed. So, everybody's going to have you do their driveway. What you hope is that those people tell other people, which they will, because they want you to succeed. Half of the people that they tell are going to call you. Half of the people that they tell aren't going to call you. And that is a trickle-down effect. So, half of the people will call you from that, and then so on and so forth. But eventually, that all runs out. Okay? Eventually, it all stops. And then you have to come up with something new and creative. All right? So, what you don't do is you don't run around and, hi, yes, I'm from XYZ Seal Coating. We were actually doing a driveway around the corner, and we have a lot of sealer left. So what we can do right now is we can give you a great deal because, like I said, we have extra sealer left. Don't do that. All right? I don't care how bad you need money. That's not what you do. All right? You can achieve the same thing by just strategically planning your jobs. So for me, I would say I'd go do an estimate. Hey, Travis, nice to meet you. Yep. Yep, this here's the driveway. I'd look at it. Okay, I'm looking around, all the driveways in this neighborhood look nice. You can tell that he's pretty close to his neighbor. There's like a beaten down path between the houses. And I'd look at his neighbors. Oh, the neighbors looks good too. It's been a while. Hey, so here's the price, Travis, but I'll tell you what, if you get any of your neighbors to come in, then for every neighbor that comes in, I'll give you $50 off. And if you get 5 neighbors, I'll do yours for free. Okay, nowadays everything's online, right? So they go right into these little neighborhood Facebook groups. Hey, so-and-so's going to be coming to do my driveway. Like, I've talked to him. He seems like a good guy. Here's his company information. People look you up. Next thing you know, you got 6 or 7 driveways to do that weekend, right? But you don't set it up like, okay, today it's Wednesday. I'm going to go do two of the driveways at Travis's house. And then tomorrow I'm going to go do 2. No, you save all that shit for the weekend. And you get there, 7 o'clock, 7:30. Wah! You're running around with blowers. Wah! Right? And people are looking out that window. What the hell is going on? Well, guess what? Ryan's here to do the parking. Ryan's here to do your driveway. And everybody's looking outside and they're like, oh, yeah, they just did one. Oh, what? He's going over to Travis's house now? Travis isn't getting his driveway done before we get our driveway done. Next thing you're doing 20 driveways on a Saturday. All right? This used to happen all the time. So this happens, right? This happens all the time. So while you're wondering, where's my work going to come from? And, oh, my God, you were going to go through ups and downs, all right? And in the back of your mind, you just keep thinking, I have a paycheck that comes to me every week. It's always there. I know that if the phone doesn't ring, I can still pay my mortgage. And in my case, I was making more money part-time 6-7 months out of the season than I was making at a full-time job where I was working. And I used to tell myself, I only got this job because of the benefits, oh, what could have happened? And I did that for almost 5 years. Once the first 5 years was, because let's face it, there's 2 types of business owners, okay? There's 2 types of business owners. There's the guys who are like me, who get every dime that they make and put it right back into their business. It's okay if you start out with your little gypsy rig and you're going out and busting driveways out with buckets. But if you're still doing that after your 2nd or 3rd year, you're never going to get traction. Nobody's going to take you serious. Okay? It's okay to have stuff like that and run around and do driveways. I see these guys, 2 barrels in the back of a pickup truck. Hell, when I was working with my uncle for DOW, we had 6 55-gallon drums in the back of a Chevy Dually 454. We would dip in buckets, a coal tar. It was horrible. It's burning all day long, But that's okay. But eventually you have to take this money that you're making a ton of money. There's a huge margin in this business, okay? So take that money that you're making and put it right back into your company. Now, you're going to have different groups of people who own these companies. You got your drug addicts, your alcoholics, the guys that like the strip clubs. You got guys who just use the money for cash and go blow it on dumb shit. And then you got guys who actually take the money that they make, reinvest it in their company, buy better equipment, and each year they look more and more like they have something going on. The hardest thing to do when you decide to start a business is not finance yourself into the ground. It's easy to go out and say, I'm buying this new truck, I'm buying that new rig, and here we go. But after your dad's done, after Uncle Larry doesn't want his driveway done, after Uncle Larry's friends don't want their driveway done, the only thing you're left with is $2,500 a month in payments that you got to make $2,500 a month to pay back your equipment before you can even start paying your mortgage. And this is where a lot of guys fail. So it's always better to build yourself a homemade rig in the beginning and test the waters and run that homemade rig. And you want to stay debt free until you know that your company is solid. Now, I'm at the point where my phone rings whether I answer it or not. Whether Ryan Anderson is here to answer the phone, Premier Seal Coating is just going to keep getting phone calls. It's pretty much a self-sustainable company in the sense that we don't have to advertise. We don't have to do any of that. It just, we stay busy, and that's great. And that's all because of reputation, But your reputation can trick you into a false sense of security because, again, we are in a business of discretionary income. So whether people are going to have the money to spend on doing this depends on, where the world is at that point. Yeah, you'll always stay busy with emergency work, but if you are going to try to stack Benjamins so that you can, live off of over the winter and have money to buy equipment, then people have to have the money to spend. And that's where you got to be careful. That's where having a job saves your ass, because there were a couple of times when I was glad that I had that paycheck, But that being said, if you're out there and you're doing a good enough job to where people are calling you, and if you've ever said to yourself one time, why am I still working? Then yeah, you need to leave your job and you need to try. Leave it on good terms. These people, if they like you, they're going to believe in you, and they're going to want you to go try to do this on your own. They're going to want to see you succeed, and they're just going to want to make sure that that you make it. And you know what? If you leave on good terms and you don't make it, you can always go back. And yeah, it might be hard to go back. And there's going to be people that, listen, there's always going to be people who don't like you in the sense that they don't want you to succeed. They're rooting for your failure. I've had no, there's nothing lonelier than owning a business. And I'm going to tell you that because as soon as you get a little of what people perceive as success, they leave you in the dust. Nobody calls you anymore, it's funny because all your other friends become other business owners because they lost all their friends too. Because now all of a sudden their friends look at you like you're, I don't know. They look at you in a way like you're sitting like differently than them, when like you can't relate to them anymore because maybe your life's too easy. Well, that's not the case. If anything, I can relate more. Like, you know what it's like to have 6 or 7 people's livelihoods hang over your head for you to realize that you're responsible for employing 6 or 10 people, and what if things slow up and if anything, you're more equal to somebody that doesn't have money than you are to somebody that does. I can just tell you that it's a hard decision on whether or not you want to leave your job and go and chase a dream. In my case, I did it. I would have to say if I wasn't as disciplined as I was, it wouldn't have worked. You really have to be disciplined to say, this is not my money. It's not my money. It's the company's money. And yeah, I may want to go take my kids to Disney, or I may want to go do this, or I may want to go do that. It's the company's money, and the company needs it too. So it's funny because I will say that really one of the only benefits that comes from having your name attached to a successful business is you have good credit. If your business has good credit, you're going to have good credit. So that affords you the ability to buy a lot of things that maybe you shouldn't buy. But, like I bought my wife a Palisade. I financed a Palisade, the first new car that we've had since we really had a family. We always bought used vehicles. I've always bought new trucks for work, but those are work trucks. But I bought a Palisade. Or this year, after 15 years of not seeing my kids grow up, of not spending any time with them in the summer, I financed a camper. You know, I mean, I probably could have bought it, but that's the company's money, you know? And then COVID hit. And guess what? I'm glad that I wasn't frivolous with it because it weathered the storm. My company would have probably went under if we didn't have money to... That last year was one of our worst years ever. So, you know, look, if you're going to decide to leave your job, make sure that what you're leaving it for, number one, is stable. Don't just walk away from a good job to say, now I'm going to start something. You need to start something. You need to operate it for a couple years. You need to make sure that it's stable, that it's solid, that it has a customer base, that your equipment's sound, that you know what you're doing, that people are calling you, you know, and you're going to feel more times than not that this does not feel right, that this does not feel right. But that's just your conscience. You know, that's a sign of any good business person. Any good business person is always going to be scared. They're going to be confident in themselves, but they're going to be scared to take that jump. I often say that I always feel like I'm one Friday away from being back in a trailer truck. It doesn't matter how much money I have in the bank. I just feel like I'm going to be driving a truck next week. It doesn't matter how successful I am or what. It just feels like I'm just going to be driving a truck. And I guess that's good because I can't shake this feeling. I always feel like this. But that makes me work harder. It makes me want to push, like, you know, it makes me want to push. And we've been pushing, and so far so good. You know, if you have questions about whether or not you're ready to jump ship and you're ready to... So if you're sitting around and you're wondering, is now the time? Do I do this? Do I leave this? Do I do this? You know, maybe it is. Maybe it is. But it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be without sacrifice. That's for damn sure. Guess everyone's adventure is different in the end.